the problems of identity.
Yeah.
I have a problem with identity, that's true.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? But you
have
made a piece out of it.
Yeah, you have a particular, I mean, that's, if you look into your history of body of work, almost all your pieces are about identity. And
That's true, that's an underlining
right.
thing.
So how you relate identity to place, you know, how you relate it to interaction between generations,
What's that, Mike?
Oh, it's the.
how you relate it to working with different artists. These are all things that you
They're pretty
pursue.
bright and they're a little scooped, and I think that might actually work well.
How did you come to this particular piece? How did this generate?
You know, like.
What was its incubation? Its birth?
You know,
It's birth.
tags
I
and stuff.
everything
There
would
was,
do its birth.
there's a lot of-
I was looking at it as a homeless thing.
Yeah.
Person who's,
At the time, felt
different
like-
people who go become homeless for different reasons.
Mm.
Mostly, some of them because they choose it. They don't want to be in the regular society.
Yeah, that's
Society doesn't fit them anymore. So that, to me, that was about identity. But I let Tatsu take over, do the film, let him direct, and let Francis direct the music. And I heard you doing text in my head, so it was exciting to have you come up and be a part of that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Now, did you know a lot of homeless people? Were you running into them a lot? I mean, you're in San Francisco, so they're all over the place.
And because of where I work at Pete's Coffee Shop, there's nothing but homeless, the drug addicts, and
You mean
common-
coming in or out, around, on the outside, or?
Oh, they walk right in and grab our stuff and walk out.
Ah,
No, they try to order. Yeah, there's this guy who, someone told me, oh, he must have been a heroin addict. He came in to try to order, and every time he'd start his sentence, his eyes would roll back, and he just looked like he was going to fall asleep. And then someone ended up paying for him, and when he tried to walk out, he walked towards the door, towards the wall instead. In the condiment station, I had to hold his hand, and I said, "Are you trying to get out?" He doesn't say anything, and I just hold his hand and I lead him outside. And then he started walking, and he falls over, gets up and sits down in a chair, and I'm like, wow, that's just incredible.
yeah, yeah, that's heavy. How old a guy was he?
He probably was, I would say probably late 40s, maybe early 50s. It's really hard to tell, you know, how people age differently from
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
But there's one of those, I forgot what you call them anyways, the ones, the heroin addicts go there to get their
They're
fix,
fixed.
but it's a special place, a clinic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then there's the homeless soup kitchen across the street. So they wander over.
Uh-huh.
And I sort of don't blame them, and my second manager was really nice. He'd give them a coffee and do stuff, but
When you say you don't blame them, what do you mean? You don't blame them for what? For being
for
homeless,
wanting to
or?
come in
Oh,
and
for,
getting hot water and making
Oh.
their hot cocoa there in our
Yeah.
condiment station. And
well, you're the
messing everything
source.
up.
It's there.
Yeah, and then using
Yeah.
our bathroom and taking their shower in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I don't blame them, but it just makes it hard for us.
Well, it's not good for business.
Yeah, and then people complain, and it goes to corporate, and it comes back around in the
Yeah.
cycle, and it's just very hard overall.
Yeah.
And the
I
common-
worked in a place like that once,
Yeah.
downtown LA. And that interaction was always challenging. But it is a business, you know.
And you
and-
got, yeah,
You know, a lot of those people, you'd set limits and a lot of them would respect the limits, you know, when they were together. They weren't as druggy as what you describe, you know. They were just homeless or struggling. So they, you know, but you'd have to police the restrooms and such as that.
yeah.
You pay attention when someone goes in and they're not out in 5 minutes. You'd have to deal with that.
Yeah, they're probably
Yeah.
shooting up or doing something
Yeah.
to get their shower.
Or taking a shower, you know.
They've done smoke stuff in there and shoot up and all kinds of stuff. And some of them come in, I think they're homeless. I mean, they got their carts, park it outside, and they start plugging in all their cell phone things. So obviously, they probably have stolen cell phones that they're taking information off or doing something with it. And people got their own businesses. And next door at the Wells Fargo, where we do banking, They said some homeless people come in there, they have more in their bank accounts than we do.
Yeah,
So people are obviously choosing to
yeah,
live it that way.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are. So how'd you get from there to Abe? Because it is, in his book, it is about choices. Those are choices.
Yeah,
Those
that's
folks
all.
in those boxes, those are highly designed boxes. And there's a heavy code for how they are, how you design them. You have to have your shelves, you have to have your window, you have to have your pencil or
Yeah.
ballpoint pen. So how'd you go from that cafe thing to boxes?
Well, I don't know. It's just for me, it just related to that in terms of identity and how society views that as and how they as the homeless view it. They're two different worlds, and that homeless world is very complex, especially in San Francisco with the economy as it is, and a lot of the immigrant communities are living in their cars so that their kids can go to school here. I mean, even the regular kids going to SF State and other colleges, they're living in their cars, or they have to do a pop-up tent just so they can go to school. So who's to say they're not exactly
Are
homeless,
you,
but
are you
they
talking
homeless.
about K through 12, or are you talking about university, or
But all of the above.
all levels?
It's gotten so extreme that people are doing what they need to do in order to live in San Francisco. So there's streets lined with tents, and
Yeah.
there's REI, and there's another camping place. I don't know if they're getting it from the trash or the rejects and people are getting it, but they set up their tent, and then the city comes at 1 o'clock in the morning, cleans them off,
Yeah,
come back again, clean them off, come back again.
yeah,
It's a constant, and it's growing. It's just getting huge, and it's everywhere.
yeah,
I think it's a wake-up call for society to say, hey, what are we really doing? And you can't just shoo them away. They're human beings, and they've got identities just as much as anybody else. And some of them are extremely smart. It has nothing to do with not wanting to work or not wanting to be a part of society, but I think it's the whole rat race of trying to keep up, and some people get tired of that.
yeah, yeah.
It's too much stress.
Opt out, or opt for a different way. They actually didn't opt out. If you opt out, you're out. But a different model,
Yeah,
different economic model. Yeah,
I think.
yeah. It's interesting. When I lived in New York, I was walking down the street one day on Broadway, busy day. Cat comes up to me, black cat, and he starts just, asking for money, and I just said, I'm out of here, get out of here, not interested. And he stopped me, and he got angry. He said, I'm a human being. You need to treat me like a human being. You don't have to give me any money, but you can't, there's no need to talk to me that way. It's ridiculous stuff. And I looked at him, I said, you're right. I apologize. I'm not going to give you any money. I don't have it to give you. But you're right. And I bowed to him. And I went on. Because he stood up for his dignity. There's a level of human dignity. You do get tired of it. I reacted that way because I just got tired. In New York,
Yeah, there's so many.
it's all over the place, back then, that was back in the 80s, which was nothing like compared to now, So, yeah, it's very important. All right, that's it for now. We'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melody Takata, the creator of Boxes 2018. You did create it. No matter what you say, it's yours. It's yours. All right.
So I have a question on looking out, or whatever the name of that one.
Yeah.
So, if,
Hey, man.
I think that since you liked the way Roper interacted with the music on it, so the question I would have is two ways to do that particular track. Is if you have the file for that music, we run it together with Roper doing his text over that,
Yeah,
if you have the file.
yeah, I have a file.
Okay, all right, so that's something we'll just need to tell Jay. That'll be like the last thing in the session.
So we could just project the movie and have the soundtrack anyway there, or I could just give you just a file.
Well, I guess the question would be whether we would record a live,
Okay, I don't know if it's formatted.
or we would just send the soundtrack through the headphones to Roper, and then he records his text, and you sync it up later.
Yeah, we could do that. I think that would be easy.
That'll be easy,
Yeah.
that would be easier.
Yeah, that would be easier.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not as interactive in some ways, but not really.
No, but then I have a,
But you can time code it,
Yeah.
right, so,
yeah,
okay,
that would be better.
okay. So that means so Roper, would that be okay for the last? So the last one is you're the only one really recording, because
Yeah.
we're gonna run the film,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're gonna do text with it.
Okay,
And then we're going to reassemble it later,
later,
because then you'll be the only track that we're recording today on that particular one.
yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Makes
So-
sense.
So from a standpoint, in terms of what makes sense from less complicated to, more complicated to less complicated,
Can I sit here?
or less, is to record the instrumental pieces, then record the text pieces.
And then that'll be a little further.
And then,
For the whole piece?
well, what we'll do is this is what I had in mind. We'll do Dewdrop first. We'll do, I think, so the question would be whether we want to group all the text pieces together or not. But if we don't have to, then I would prefer to go in somewhat in order.
In sequence. I would prefer sequence,
Okay,
because
so,
then it has its feel.
because if we can do it in sequence, then we have Dewdrop first, which is good for us to warm up, then Roper text with gong, then the first film.
Yeah.
And then we can record shamisen solo, moving into Roper text with shamisen ensemble as one go.
Yeah.
And then,
Jay, is it okay if they stage?
So I should extract the audio file for them now then.
But you're welcome to walk in here and pop some stuff out of the way, so I'll probably walk back there, grab them.
well, only if you wanted to go to tape.
You don't need some of these stools and stuff can go underneath.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but if it would help you sync it, then you should.
Or wouldn't Roper be listening to the sound?
Right, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, he should
He should be listening
we
to
should
stuff.
send the laptop.
Yeah.
All we would have to do is send the laptop source to
To them,
the board.
right, yeah.
Because
So-
we're not keeping that part.
Right.
So the
I just have to-
MP3 or whatever.
Yeah, I have to extract, yeah.
So you don't actually have to extract the audio, you
Right.
just have to do a send from the laptop.
So let me do that right now. Let me
But
double check
before-
what the technology is.
Yeah.
So at one point of the recording, Roper will be listening to the pre-recorded audio from the phone then he will do the voice.
So is the voice will be separate?
Right.
Okay.
So should I give you the WAV file or a video?
Is Is there already material recorded already? that you're
Yeah,
playing on?
so, yeah,
Oh,
so,
okay, alright.
what's the,
Because the other point is we could send because since we're not trying to keep the audio, because he's gonna reassemble it later.
yeah,
So we could send the audio from the laptop. You know, cause that one video and then that, and then
or I can give you.
maybe one of you separate.
Okay,
Because otherwise you have to sync it up with the video.
oh, okay, that's true. I guess I'm not, I didn't fully understand what you meant by the audio for laptop. Is here already better.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, if you can, the best thing would be just to give you the audio off of the laptop as it's playing, so if you're saying it's gotta be synced up from this, that's the best way to do it.
So,
Because we're not actually gonna keep the audio
yeah,
from the laptop, because he's gonna resync it later.
Gotcha, okay, alright. So,
But,
it will make it easier though.
yeah.
Yeah.
so what, should I just, can you,
So we just need to hook up the laptop basically, and then
Oh, okay.
and then he'll do a send from the
Yeah, if you,
laptop.
if you want to set, if you set up the laptop, and also, if you wanna use projector, then unfortunately, the HDMI cables are that long.
yeah, so I'll just
Yeah, we'll
put it over
yeah,
there.
for sure.
Right, because
We
you
do
could
that.
pull it off of the HDMI, right? Signal?
I don't know if
Oh,
I'll
for
be able
the
to get it
audio?
there. The audio technically should go via the HDMI, but I'm not sure how
Yeah.
this is.
But I have other, you know,
Well, he has a headphone jack,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
better for me to just
Yeah.
take the headphone jack for
Okay.
in this instance, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, makes
I
sense.
was just thinking, well,
Yeah, no, totally.
the audio's in the HDMI, so it's like, but you would have to have a connection.
I'm sure that they've got it rigged up somehow to have audio come through those speakers on there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Since I just don't see any cables coming out of here, but it looks like they would go to.
oh, for the second movie, all he needs to listen is the sound, so,
Okay, alright.
yeah.
So you can just put.
Yeah, and the headphone.
And
The
put it in the
first
headphone.
is no sound on the movie, so they just have to watch the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
You might have to remind me.
Oh, of course, no problem. We'll just, we'll do these things at one at a time. We're just trying to give you the heads up.
No, for sure, that's
What's
appreciated.
coming down the line,
Yeah.
since this is a little bit.
I can't move with my feet.
Excuse me.
Hi.
Hi there. Tatsu,
Hi.
could you take a moment
Hi.
and introduce
Yes.
our guest? Give her some
This
background.
This is Chizuru Kineya sensei. She's been Grandmaster Chizuru Kineya for many years and leading her own Chizuru clan, Chizuru Kai in Tokyo.
Uh-huh.
And 何人ぐらい今生徒お弟子さんいらっしゃる？
今12人です。
So she has 12 disciples.
Ah,
Yeah, and as under the name of Chizuru Kai, Chizuru clan, and they are doing nagauta music. And Chizuru and I met about 13, 14 years ago in Chicago. A mutual friend of ours, Yoko Noge, who's a blues piano player and singer, invited her for our Asian American Jazz Festival for her to jam with blues musician in Chicago.
so had she done that before? Has she played with blues musicians in Tokyo?
That was the first time. So I was hired out by Yoko Noge as her coach to how to improvise with a blues musician.
Ah,
Yes.
can you ask her how she felt about that?
その当時初めてねブルースミュージシャンとやった時はどんな心境でしたかっていう感じで
初めての経験だったので、it's the first experience at that time. So difficult for me because I am a player of the classic music.
Yes.
So it's terrible difficult.
Yeah, but I think we worked on. We had 3 days before the actual concert, 13 years ago. So we basically worked on decomposing and recontextualizing and decomposing our formula
Yes.
and broken up into different pieces, and I showed her how she can kind of break things from her fabulous nagauta chops.
Yes.
You know, like a baroque chops that is an incredible chops she has, and we were working on how to deconstruct these things and reapply
Yes.
to the new language, and she did a really, really great job. We have a great picture of Chizuru sensei and me on the side in the blues musician. I think I forgot who was the guitar player that night. Because we worked with several different blues players, but I can't remember who that was for the show. That would be coming back to me shortly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but since then, here's an interesting thing. Then I realized she can decompose and reconstruct, and she's very free spirit compared to, because I worked with the other nagauta players, so they're very, very rigid and stiff. And when I realized she was able to be flexible about this new challenge, then I asked her one of my long goal
Did you
to
guys just eat?
reconstruct my
what time
Ozaski
you guys
geisha music. Right. So since then, from that festival, I think we worked together for next 3 years, having Chizuru sensei learning this geisha music. Yeah. Then I went to Tokyo a couple of times, and she came over, and we worked.
Well,
also.
now, explain something. How different is the geisha music from the nagauta music?
Nagauta music is scored, so
Oh.
she has precise score for the entire composition for the kabuki play.
I see.
Yeah, and the geisha music is very, very much. It's a formulated improvisation,
I see.
so you have to improvise a lot.
Ah.
And also we have this swing party part. It's called the ohayashi, and every song has this little party thing. So I had to work with her.
Well, how did you like doing that geisha music?
そういうお座敷三味線をやってみてどうでしたかっていう。
And very interesting. Different from nagauta. My heart, my mind is very free to play shamisen. 自由な感じにしてる。
So freedom.
So it's like getting out of jail in a way, right?
だから牢屋から出てきたような感じですかっていう。
Yeah. And so playing the blues helped to move into the.
Yes, because I think the blues music is very similar to the kind of music that I grew up with. The shamisen, it's kind of like
It's very structured,
lyrics changes
but free.
all the time.
Yeah.
Bridge of the song gets shifted into different places.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a very free, and it's not as free like a free jazz.
Right.
It's still
It's
has this
structured.
Structure.
Yeah, it's not
but
formula.
the way the structure be arranged is very free.
Yeah.
So she and I work.
That's why it's lasted so long. the
Yeah,
blues.
probably.
And everyone does it
Right,
because it's
right.
got a structure that everyone can understand.
Yeah.
I mean, musicians, but even listeners.
Right.
So they always have a place of connection, but you can do what you want on top of it.
Right.
Almost
Almost,
what you want. But there is that's like playing the blues is like getting out of jail but being on probation. Right? But then you come here and this is even more free.
なんかブルースミュージックっていうのは彼曰くね、そのジェールから仮出所してるみたいなこのあるストラクチャーがあって、そのストラクチャーの中で自由にやるみたいな、まあお座敷芸みたいなものがあって、だから彼の意見では長い間ね、ブルースがこうずっとみんなの間で親しまれて、しかもみんながブルースをやるっていうのは多分そういうことなんじゃないかな。自由なところとストラクチャーのあるところがこう。
Now, I did last year I played with the two of you
Yes.
in Francis's
Right.
project.
Excuse me.
Ah,
Yeah, so that headphones for y'all. this. Maybe the best thing is to. Is this gonna be in the way?
No.
バチバチ危ないバチバチ。
Oh. That's right. Last year.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, to my perceptions, that she's even more into this stuff a year later, and then there's a difference in how you play and how you approach.
去
This music.
年ほら一緒にレコーディングした時と、今回の比べると先生もっと前よりも自由になってるような気がするってローパーがね。
年を取ったから。
Got older.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay. You know, and even this week, between the beginning of the rehearsals and by the performances yesterday, she developed attitude.
うん
You know, she had ideas. I could tell she had ideas about what she wanted to
あの
happen.
ね、でも今週だけ見てても最初にリハーサルした人公演のね、最後の公演のとこ見ただけでなんか先生の中にこうある姿勢っていうか、がこうガラッと変わって出てきたんじゃないですか。
全くね、その映画も見ないでここに来て、どういうものかもわからないで来てやった時と、やっぱり映画を見て、あ、こういうものだって分かった時っていうのは必然的にやっぱり弾き方は変わるから。
So quite naturally that she didn't know the visual part, and when she came here and saw all this visual part,
Yes.
she had her interpretation got better. So to speak.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I liked it. She took control in a couple places.
まあ
You
で
know,
も先生
wasn't
も
it?
こうもっと自主的にね、こうミュージックをコントロールして弾くみたいな弾き方をしてたんで。
Which is what she's used to doing back home, right? Because she's the
Right,
big cheese
right.
back home. Yeah.
まああれですからね、その長唄会ではさ、どっちかっていうとほら縦三味線でこう指揮者っていうかねみたいなものだからこういうこの自由なことはあんまりできないわけだから。
Yeah, yeah. In this music, everybody can be the big cheese from moment to moment.
まあこ
You
の
know.
音楽ではね、いろんな箇所で一人一人がそのコントロールを持って音楽ができるっていう。
Yeah. Well, I'm very happy to work with you and to meet you. Yeah. And if I ever get back to Tokyo, we may do a project.
Yes. まあ
You never
東
know.
京に行ったらね演奏一緒にしたいですね。
Okay.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready.
I have a piece for tuba and shamisen,
Good.
you know. Yeah. Okay.
Because in previous projects, we've recorded music first
Aha.
as part of, I guess I would call it as part of the research phase.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's in my experience, that's for the final product, that's less preferred. I always prefer having some performances
Right,
behind me before I go in,
right,
because then the piece has developed
right.
some.
This one's, that's.
And you've learned the notes.
That's the strategy for this project.
Yeah,
Was to,
good.
that's why we're in here today.
As opposed to at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, but that's artistically a different process than we've had before,
Yeah,
which makes it, there's a certain amount of learning involved,
yeah,
which has to do with the fact that we didn't really know the piece before.
that's true. Yeah, it would have been very hard to do a pre-record. I mean, it would have been a different product. It would have also determined the piece.
Well, and I think
To a
that's the
degree.
milestone represented by this piece for Melody's collaborative work. Is that this one has,
Although I am.
well, because of the
far enough
text.
It might not matter, but.
and then the way we're dealing with the video, there's more possibilities of it, in terms of how it articulates specific messages.
Mm,
So,
yeah. Yeah, it's a multi-layered piece. There's lots of things that can happen with the documentation.
yeah,
Many formats it can then be expressed in.
Well, yeah, because, you know, even looking at the band photo, you see artifact,
Yeah,
you know, so.
the band photo speaks volumes and has a lot of mystery in it.
Right,
You can't look at that photo and not wonder what's going on, what went on.
right, so if you are thinking installation as one of the pathways, to, you know, that's something that could be done with the documentation,
Yes,
is installation, so, which is what we've done before, you know, I mean, Lenora Lee's first Angel Island piece became an installation, which kind of gave us multi-dimensional opportunity.
yeah. It extends the life
Yeah,
in many ways.
right,
You can go a lot of places with a lot less money.
right.
Different impact, different audience.
Well, it also, it lays the basis for other work,
Yeah,
right? But there's a certain learning. You do the installation, then it relates to, in Lenora's case, it's the, you know, these dance films. And so then you have the possibility of different kinds of residency
yes,
programming.
yes,
You know,
yeah.
because you could show film,
Yeah, I think
there
that
could
role
be
they got,
installation,
This thing on
there
it?
could be live performance.
Yeah, oh, actually, shit, no, the Warriors already
You know,
understand back
you
there
can
by
have
the,
just Lenora, you can have Lenora and
whatever the-
Tatsu, you can have,
I
you
know,
know,
that one,
so
yeah.
some of it is kind of setting the basis for the artist to work in different, well, different it's kind of a different platform.
Yeah, yeah, different formats. Yeah, different geographies
Yeah.
all over the place. Yeah, okay. This is Kyoto,
Hello.
one of the offspring of Tatsu,
No, one of the three.
one of the three,
Oldest of the three.
oldest of the three. You don't have to stay there, you can walk around if you want. You can ambulate. You're a filmmaker, I'm not. But there we go. So you're the youngest member of the cast.
I am. I'm the newbie.
You're the newbie.
The newbie, the rookie.
But you come from your father has a long, varied history. And
Yeah.
now you're going on with that. Seems like perhaps.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it? Well, I think I'm at an age where I understand what it means.
Uh-huh. What means? The work he's done and,
everything,
the
work
cultural thing and
Yeah, the work he's done, you know, the cultural lineage, where he came from, which means where I come from,
mm-hmm.
And how I'm involved in that. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't really understand how involved I was, really, because I just, yeah, I grew
It
up.
was just something you were doing,
Yeah,
right?
it was
You
something
were
I was
around
doing.
it.
I started playing, you know, and I knew Francis and
Uh-huh.
everybody is my dad's friends, and
How long have you known Francis? Since you were like a little tyke or?
yeah.
Yeah.
Way long ago.
Uh-huh.
I'm 25, so at least 20 years probably.
Ah, 25.
Was it?
I was 25 once. I just know that from the books. I don't remember anything that far back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Long
what
time ago.
what's like your main pursuit? I mean, you're a visual artist, right?
I'm a visual artist. Yes, that's which also is part of this lineage thing.
Mhm.
Somehow, you know, it's. I also grew up in my dad's household, so we had.
hmm
I saw his films growing up.
Yeah.
And I heard his music growing up. It's a funny thing because I think the kind of music and art that he makes is, you know, it's very experimental avant-garde, and
Yeah.
I thought that was what everybody made.
Ah.
I didn't know jazz was written out.
Uh-huh.
I didn't. It was like.
Well, you know, it is a classical music.
Yeah, I
Yes.
didn't know that. I thought that it was.
Yeah.
jazz was improv, you know, and you.
Yeah.
You,
I mean,
it's
we're
like I grew up listening to Fred Anderson, so that was my.
your focus, your experience.
That was my understanding of what jazz, which it is, but I
Yeah.
also did not know that there was a
written tradition as well.
yeah. So
yeah.
I would think when my brother joined like a jazz band in high school, he brought home a book,
Awesome. Uh-huh.
and I was like, "What?
What's
jazz
that about?"
is written?"
Yeah, yeah.
That was the first time I knew that.
Ah.
A film too, you know. He makes like experimental films, and I thought that all filmmakers, art filmmakers, made films like that, which is not the case.
I see. So this traditional aspect of it, is that not a conflict with your own work? Does it fit right in seamlessly, or do you have conflicts sometimes? Are you able to separate them out? Do you ever want to separate them out?
I think actually, I'm trying to find a space to merge the two together, and I think it's because the traditional Japanese music I just grew up doing. You know, I grew up on stage essentially, which is weirdly the traditional way to learn, right?
Yeah.
But I did that
A
in Chicago.
showbiz child.
Yeah, but I was
Yes.
doing that stuff in Chicago, playing around town with my dad and my brother before we joined the taiko group, and before my dad took that over. You know, so that was just something that I did, and
Okay,
and
so
then
you
I-
played the drums at home before you did it formally.
Right,
Yeah.
with my family.
Uh-huh.
My dad would be like, okay, we're gonna play, because my brother started first, and he was doing his solos,
Uh-huh.
and then I guess the story goes that I wanted to join him, so it was me supporting his solo, so it's whenever we finish, or whenever, you know, we decided to finish, and it was the three of us, and it wasn't really, you know, my dad was just like, we have to play for 15 minutes, okay, go. So that was
Now,
how-
would you say this? You're talking about playing out, like playing on stage, or?
Yeah, on stage. Because
Okay.
that's what it was. It was us playing on stage, and that was how I learned and how I practiced. And
Now, I'm interested, what kind of venues were those?
that was like a hot house and old. What is it?
What is that, a
called? The
club,
rooftop.
hot house?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a jazz club. They have it now, but you know, management
Yeah.
changed, etc. So the old hot house.
Oh, so
like
that's-
art venues, but I played at the jazz festival when I was like 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And same thing like Muata Bowden, like he was just my dad's friend who also played sax. You know,
Yeah.
and like, oh, Francis also plays that kind of thing. But I played with them, not understanding like where I was playing at or
Yeah.
what really I was doing. I was just told to play taiko with everybody.
So you love the stage? Do you? Because a lot of performers don't love the stage. I love the stage.
I think there's a part of me that does, but I don't. There's a part of me that doesn't. I don't like being on stage in front of everybody. But it's
Well,
not
our
like
audiences
me.
are never that big where it's everybody.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but you know, I do, and I think I am able to enjoy it because I just grew up doing it. I don't know if I would do that by choice now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, but I grew up doing it, so you know, it's something that I've done, and I've become comfortable with. But I do enjoy this kind of backstage component aspect too.
The dynamics of the backstage.
Yeah, I love that for sure. So
Are you
I
an
would just
instigator?
watch-
Are you a? Because you know, it's not all pretty backstage.
It's not
you
all
know.
pretty. It's not all pretty. But you know, I'm the newbie, so I just sit back and watch.
So we're doing this piece, Boxes.
Yeah.
You know, Melody's piece, but your father's piece in a big way. Did you? Because it's come together in a very strange way, I would say. I mean, it's a collaborative work.
Right.
Do you have any? What kind of connection did you have to it before we got here? Has that changed at all since we've been rehearsing and performing? And now we're going to record it, and that's going to be a totally different experience,
Yeah.
I would think.
Well, I read the book way before, long ago.
It's kind of a strange book, huh?
It's a strange book.
It's uncomfortable.
You know, right, and he's, you know, they say Abe Kobo is like the Kafka of Japan. I love Kafka. And I've, you know, been told. Maybe my dad tells me he kind of grew up with that crowd and his relationship with that. So that's also like a very weird personal connection.
Yeah.
Which is great, you know. I mean, I think my dad just grew up in a very particular, specific moment.
Yes. Yes. And he in a particular spot.
Exactly.
During those moments.
right. During those moments.
Yeah.
And for me to read that and approach, you know, the work or Abe Kobo's story, and then and see how that relates to what my dad's been doing and talking about, and then also how it relates to my work, because I do like those. I like Kafka, I like Abe Kobo, I like I'm forgetting his name right now. He wrote The Sleeping Beauties one. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Well, I'm not going to help you blank. But how do they relate to your work?
It's like this kind of muted, surreal, a little bit like it's not gothic, but that kind of darkness and peculiarity. And kind of a little bit existential work and about internal and external relationships. And, you know, the gaze is part of it. And right now I'm thinking, because I actually have a pinhole box that I've been shooting with for my photos, which timing-wise kind of works with this. So think about, you know, what it means to be in a box or using a box to see the outside and having to be able to see the outside, at least for my camera to
that's
function.
very interesting. Yeah, that's
my pinhole has to have a hole to the outside. To function as a camera. As does the person who's
in the box.
Protagonist, right, in the box. He has to interact with the outside world.
Through that box and the limitations of that slit.
Through vision. Essentially, and.
But to see to the sides, he has to move around. He has to change position. He can't.
And it's this weird internal-external relationship, because he's externalizing all of his thoughts in the inside of the box. So it's a matter of
even to the point of writing them down on the box.
Them on the inside of the box, but is that still in the internal space of his head space? You know, that's the box of it. Is it outside of your body and, you know, tangible? Now as an external, you know, so it's these kind of layers. So thinking about that a little bit, but I read that a little bit ago, and I really enjoyed it, and now being a part of this project, it's interesting because I think my interpretation of the story might be different than what the performance has been. I actually don't quite know what the performance really is about from Melody's point of view. But I do know it's very different from my take on the narrative.
Well, I question if there is a story in this piece, you know. I mean, maybe someone looking at it can create their own narrative. But it's interesting that you say that, because for me, in this work, even though I'm doing the narrative, for the overall work, I don't have it yet. I don't know what that narrative is. Because I question if there is even one, you know. Which is fine with me, because I'm, you know.
Well, I see that there are different sections. You know, within this overall project, but I don't really quite have a grasp on how they are connected yet. You know,
if ever. I mean, I have enough rules and glue in my life that I can not worry about it here. You know, so that's interesting.
And it's kind of, you know, and what it beyond like the box being the box. Which I think is that's where it gets interesting. You know, how you can contextualize what the box is, or if the box is even a box, or you know, because I think, I mean, the phrase you use the phrase, I think, outside the box so often that that I think it's inherently understood a little bit what the implications of this piece with the narrative, with the, you know, all of the social cues for things like that, but so I mean, it was kind of nice to come because I had absolutely no idea. I just knew it was called Boxes. I knew
Yeah.
I shot part of the film though,
Ah,
so I did that part. I shot this one.
the crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
The very kinetic.
The stop animation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I shot that one. So that was I had a vision of what this person was supposed to be, or what I had projected this the headspace of this person to be.
Uh-huh.
So that was one approach, I guess. A little bit of craziness, and this is also tying together the other pieces that Melody has done. From Pages and
Yeah.
Shadow, and
So you know that background, you know that history.
Right, right.
Were you part of those pieces?
Yes, I
Yeah.
was.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
So.
The informed artist, an informed artist. Okay.
But I was involved in this piece, so I kind of see where the points of interest that Melody has taken from these other works.
I see. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm familiar a little bit in that sense.
Yeah. Very important. Well, I'm going to wrap it up now
Okay.
because I think we're getting closer, and I have to have my shawu chi to get in the mood.
Yes.
And I smell that pork. I think that's pork I smell. You
Pork.
smell that? Your box camera? That's from another time, another age.
No, it's I made it last month.
Oh, your pinhole camera. I see. It doesn't matter when you made it. A pinhole camera is from another time, another place. Yeah,
Old school technology.
exactly.
My father made a pinhole camera
He did?
in the 20s.
In the 20s, you see? And it wasn't even new then. That was old shit then.
Using it since painting was happening.
Yeah. Have you ever
They
done,
didn't like to admit it.
hmm?
They didn't like to admit it.
Ah.
The painters used the camera obscura.
Did you ever,
Blasphemous.
okay. Now look, I used to want to do this, but when I really explored it, I couldn't do it. Or I didn't want to mess with it. Albumin,
Albumin?
yeah. Have you done that? Yeah.
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 Egg white is good, and salt.
Yeah, it looks beautiful,
It's great.
but it's a long, hard process, right? No?
You just coat the paper. Well, you salt the paper. You coat it with the salt, and then you coat the paper with the silver nitrate and albumin, and you just expose it. And it's a simpler process.
Now, I don't want to be offensive, but that sounds like a complicated process to me, and for you not thinking it complicated, that makes me think, well, you might be Japanese or something. Because
Might be.
that's involved
I just
in my world. You just coat the paper with salt,
You just coat it and expose it.
and then you put the egg whites on.
Yep.
But you got to separate the egg whites from the yolk.
Well,
you
nowadays
not?
they sell just the egg white.
Well, this is true. This is true.
They do sell. You know what? I don't know. This is Ed Wilkerson's camera. He, I'm keeping it in. It's an M3.
Oh, cool. Real pretty.
It's a good camera.
Yeah, I have an M6 and then I was gonna get like an M2.
And your father made a pinhole camera in the 20s?
Yeah, he was like 6 or 7 years old.
Ah.
The one that was on here broke.
Yeah.
So where was he living
I
then?
actually use it
Shanghai.
Shanghai.
visually for my. It's way easier.
So he told you, why did he tell you about that?
But it froze on me before I.
He doesn't still have the camera, does he?
No, it's just that. So, if you go to my house, my father's prized collection is his photo albums.
Ah,
So he
I
doesn't
see.
have any pictures. I don't know that he has pictures taken with that, the pinhole. It's just that he wants to. He just wants to. He talks about kind of how we got into photography. So, just like how he talks about how we got into listening to opera was that
Ah.
he built his own radio.
ah,
diode radio.
Yeah, diode, yeah.
And then the first thing that he heard was Italian opera.
Oh, that's what came through.
Yeah.
But where was it being broadcast from?
That was Shanghai, see, so.
Uh-huh.
So Shanghai already was, had radio and it
Yeah.
had, because it was a large Western presence for, by then, at least 60, 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, part of it was, when he talks about it, it's, I think for him, and it's like the emerging modernism, see, in China.
Yeah,
He was there.
yeah.
So, so part of his recollection is that, and then in his photo album collection, there are pictures that he took,
Uh-huh.
and so he's very proud of that. And then he's proud of the fact that he developed photos, printed them,
Yeah,
things like that. Contact sheets. He did contact sheets.
yeah.
Things like that. So.
So this sounds like if he has those albums, and maybe the negative still and all that, it sounds like when he came here, he wasn't in that much of a rush. Is that a fair statement, or that's really far from the truth?
Well, I guess that's a good point. I mean, I suppose a part of the relative privilege was the ability to leave or to see the right handwriting on the wall.
Yes.
So, my understanding is he left for Hong Kong in January of '49. So, I mean, the end of the Civil War is October. October 1st is when the People's Republic was proclaimed. But
Yes.
I think he left in January. So I'll have to confirm that. But so there was actually a chance, I think, that he actually was moving as opposed to fleeing
Uh-huh.
in that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, the reason why they left was because of the impending
Exactly,
fall of the
yeah.
government.
But it wasn't like get out of here in the next 5 days,
Right.
or it's done with.
So part of the recollection of that period is the really horrible inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a lot of stories about that.
Yeah.
Because he used to do payroll for a shipping company.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they had to carry the payroll in wheelbarrows.
Uh-huh. Like the stories you hear about Italy and all, or Germany.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hyperinflation.
Yeah.
And then also the shortages in the stores, and of course, the black market, and
Yeah.
things like that.
So he was at that time. Would he be like a middle class person, or he was a person of wealth, or he was lower class, or how would you?
Well, I guess
define
he
it?
would be middle class because he had a job, but he
Yeah.
wasn't a laborer.
Uh-huh. I see. Civil servant kind of level, even if it wasn't civil.
Yeah, I mean he worked
Yeah.
for a shipping company, so
Yeah. Bourgeois kind of thing in the European terms. The bourgeoisie.
yeah.
Not bourgeois, but the bourgeoisie.
Well, the bourgeoisie would be
Or the petite.
the wealthy people. So petit bourgeois, perhaps,
Uh-huh.
but or like so kind of service people,
Yeah.
kind of who had some education.
Yeah.
Although I guess he had 1 or 2 years of college, but
Uh-huh.
and European education because he grew up in British concessions in Shanghai and then later in Tianjin. So
So this is 2018. So how old was your father now?
he's 97.
97. That's a miracle.
Yeah.
That's a true treasure trove. Now, has he ever talked to Leon's son? Because I know
Yeah,
Leon's
it's
parents came.
from Shanghai. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's talked to Leon's son. I don't think so.
Ah.
But
'Cause I think they came in sort of a rush. His
they
mother.
did
and
because they came way after the revolution happened.
Yeah.
They came in the 50s.
Yeah.
So they kind of basically had, I think probably right before it was illegal to leave.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, that's interesting. I met his mother once, decades and decades ago. We went over for dinner, myself and the Oshimas, and then Leon and his sister were there, May, and met his mother, had dinner, heard some of the stories,
Yeah.
So
he did a nice, they had those, what is it called? Digital storytelling. So he did a nice little piece on his folks and leaving China.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Is that up any place, or that's just,
I think
Like-
you could just ask him for. I don't think
Yeah.
he posted it.
yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. So your father has albums. Photo albums are very special. They walk you through the ages,
Right. So it's a pretty
Yeah.
good chronology of photographs between probably the 30s to today.
Ah,
So
I see. I
yeah,
see.
that's what's next.
This one's it?
Boxes.
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 What is it that we're waiting on? Do you know?
Do you need melody for this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll listen then.
We're waiting on Melody.
Or hell yes.
Hell yes, we need her.
And then Sensei, right? And
Oh, we need everybody.
We need everybody.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's a whole ensemble.
We need everybody.
I thought you were just doing text.
No, that's later.
No.
You need everybody.
We need the band.
We're
We
doing
need
the
the
first
orchestra.
film.
We need the band.
Okay, the shamisen guys.
Sometime today.
The band.
Okay, so my association with all these guys, Kobo Abe, Hiroshi Teshigara, Toru Takemichi, was through my dojo. Gintenkai, which my boss was doing, things with the gambling, and they are very much known as a drunk gambling party people. And I think they're also in the late 60s thing is that they were all kind of in the communist party. Yeah. So I was doing a lot of gopher, the little delivery boy, for the gambling money, either giving their winning money or loaning the money for the betting.
So you
Or
were the
the party.
courier, the mule.
Yes.
You doing this on a bicycle?
No, motorcycle.
Motorcycle.
Yes. And we had about 5 guys in my group that was biking. Yeah.
This is Tokyo?
Yes, downtown Tokyo.
Ah,
Yes,
uh-huh.
yes. Lesser known history, but I think if you go Wikipedia on Kobo Abe, not the Wikipedia, but I think if you go to the off the record history little writing and essays that people wrote about Abe, everybody knows he was fond of drinking. He was very, very heavy gambler. Yeah. Compulsive gambler, I would say, because I think he did the horse race and boat race in the other betting.
Boat races?
Right, yeah. And some of his associates were actually doing the card game betting. I think it's a deeper gambling than horse and bicycle. You know.
Well, it's more personal card games.
Yeah, card games are really heavy duty gambling, and we used to have a job on the card game place, which usually is in like an upstairs of the residential area. In our job.
So this wasn't sanctioned. These were like private games.
Yeah, those are private games. Yeah. So watch Sopranos to understand that mechanism, but my job for that one is to hold the shoes for everybody right by the entrance.
Really?
We tie their shoes into one rope, so that I hold the rope and everybody's shoes is tied. Those are the traditionally called gesokuban. Yeah, gesokuban means you tie the shoes together and wait, so that people don't run away.
They can't roll. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
That's what it
so
sounded
then
like.
there are a couple of other guys are out on the street watching for the police squad, so that when I get the signal that police is coming to inspect, or for some reason I will let the shoes loose. Otherwise, I will just hold the shoes together. And I think that was like a part of the traditional practice, and that's what I was doing.
So Tatsu, who are you working for? You say this was part of your dojo, but it sounds like you were working for an enforcer.
Yes.
Would you describe it that way?
It was I think today's term is organized crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're known
It was sounding a lot
as
like
a
this.
Yakuza family.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And my entertainment squad was partially financed by them. So
I see.
Yes.
So you didn't have to be a part of them. You were just an
we
outcrop.
we were soon to be part of. Yeah, I think we all had tickets to be part of the real thing. But I got out of
there before that.
I came to America before that happened. Yes.
Do you regret that, or would you rather been part of that whole thing?
I'm very happy that I made the decision to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're still here on the planet.
Yes,
You may not be
because I think
on that
once you are made to be the real member of these things, you cannot get out. You would not get out of the neighborhood. You would not do other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my freedom is, But I think my debate was, I was a little bit attracted to that life because there was there's a lot of cash.
Yeah.
Where my high school classmates were making 300 yen or 200 yen something per hour. I was making, $200, $300 a day doing what I was doing. So I was a little
That's
bit,
very attractive.
yes.
Yeah.
Because you see these Fender precision bass on the wall there.
Yeah.
When I was teenager in Japan, that costed $4,000-$5,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you had one?
Precision. Well, no, I didn't have one, but I
wanted one.
Yeah, I wanted one.
It was possible. It could have been
was
possible.
possible for me to. I spend most of my money for girls, ladies.
I understand that.
I bought them nice things all the time.
Because they cost you money no matter how you go about it.
Because
you're gonna pay. No offense over there.
The people I was interested in as a teenager was grown-up geisha ladies. So if you want to go out with them, you have to spend
gotta pay
some money, right?
yeah,
So instead of a precision bass, I waited to buy the real Fender bass until I came to the United States.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
My first Fender bass was bought in 1976 in the music store in Athens, Ohio. That was my first.
Athens?
Yes, my first Fender bass I dreamed about. So many years looking at all these American rock stars playing the Fender bass. And I waited.
Wait, well,
That
that's
was
a
like
good
tenth
deal.
of the price.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I paid like $300 instead of $4,000. Yeah,
Because I bought a precision bass
Yeah.
back then. It was about $300.
Yeah.
So did Abe seem to be a winner at the gambling, or a loser, or it all
I
washed
think
out in
he had
the?
his days winning a lot of games, and it was an interesting thing. I think, if my recollection is correct, I think he also went to bet on the official track. Yeah, as well as the off track.
The off track,
Yeah,
yeah,
so I think
yeah.
he did both. Right.
And what about Takemitsu? Was he part of that scene?
No,
That gambling?
Takemitsu was not really part of that scene, but I think he was kind of hanging out. Yeah, so I think I saw Takemitsu the least during that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they were all like from our teenage life. They were all kind of like a god artist, right? It was
yeah.
the coolest independent filmmaker, director, coolest novelist, coolest musician. You know, like
Yeah.
I saw them like a god. You know, yeah, just as much as I respected, people like the free jazz musicians in America and the stamp rackets, the American experimental filmmakers, and Kobo Abe, and everybody was like, gee, I want to be like them, which I never be like them, but
Well, this piece is the videos in this piece are very, very important part of it. In fact,
Yeah.
Microphone position going.
they are the piece in a way.
Right,
And
right.
you made those videos.
Right.
So how did you approach them, given your history
I think
with these guys?
I think when Melody
Go on a,
decided that she's interested in, kind of doing this new revision of the box man, it was very, very personal for me, because I kind of went through all this. Of course, the novel was written way before,
Yes.
my association with them.
Yes.
But I think, by reading, I grew up my teenage time reading all this novels, so it was very, very personal.
Yeah.
And so I was able to kind of rejuvenate my interpretation of that vision at the time.
Yeah. I find the videos, they're extremely kinetic. The videos.
Right.
Even when there are static parts of them,
Yeah.
they're very kinetic.
Right.
Which
can I hear? Are you
the whole
playing
pieces
piano or-
like
Right.
that, it's a lot of contradictions and layers
Right.
in it.
Right.
Which what I know of, the only film by those three that I know is The Woman in the Dunes.
Right.
But
I always wonder about why they didn't make the Boxman into a movie, because
Yeah.
the other ones, like A Face of the Other and Pitfall
yeah.
and Women in Dooms, they were made into that movie by Decibelle, but they never made this one.
Yeah. Well, I can see issues with it, difficulties. I mean, I don't know about the technology then. I mean,
Right.
you deal with the box in your
Right,
videos,
right, right.
but I don't know how easy that would have been.
Oh no, they could have totally done it.
Yeah.
Technically they had the way to do that.
Yeah.
And because their movie crew were very creative, so they
Yeah.
did other kind of a so-called special effect kind of shooting on like a Pitfall. So I'm sure they were able to do it. They for some reason they just didn't make this into the movie.
Yeah.
It would be great if had the Takemitsu music and
Yeah.
Tsuchihara directed it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Well, one does wonder why they didn't. Could be something as simple as money.
Well,
You
I
know?
think, right.
Yeah. Or they just may have been tired by
Right.
the time they did the other one. You never know. It would be interesting to know. Maybe someone knows.
Well,
Left.
I mean, I think Hiroshi Teshigahara had the money because he's from the Sogetsu flower arrangement family.
Oh yeah, that's it. You mentioned that. Yeah.
So I think they did have the money, but I kind of assumed, by my association with these folks, that I assumed a lot of their movie and the performance and installation money came from our bosses. Yeah, I believe. I mean, that's, there's no proof, but I think
Yeah.
by my view at the time, I think that was my understanding about, this is how these radical underground experimental artists had the money is they coming from these guys down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that was my interpretation. In fact, I was financed for my weird band things by them. And a lot of other friends of ours said the same way. They would be financed by these guys.
All right, okay, very good.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's gonna be it for now, because I feel that he's almost done with Francis, and he may get to me.
It will get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So-
you can sell this video when I die.